So you may have seen my videos of changing my front and rear brake pads on the CBR650F, and I've changed them to EBC Double H sintered pads, both front and rear, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about what they're like. They're the first set of brake pads I've had changed in the bike after about 9,000 miles to replace the OE spec pads that are already in there when I bought the bike. And when I first got this bike and did my kind of first ownership type vlog, I liked the bike. I liked the brakes. They were good, and remember, I was coming from a 125 onto this, so you know, after 125's brakes, these were outstanding. And for my first big bike, the pads were brilliant, because you know, they weren't snatchy. They had good stopping power, but really did need a good tug on the front pedal to get the best out of them. So it was that they had that sort of feel that if as a novice you kind of grabbed a bit too much handful of front brake, then yeah, the initial bite wasn't like gonna chuck you over the front or cause you any problems. It was very forgiving, and since I've been putting on the miles and having got the blade, and with the amazing brakes that the blade has got, jumping onto this, I've kind of felt, wonder if I could just sharpen these up a little bit, make them a bit better. I mean, remember, these are only 2 piston calipers on the front, so they're never going to be outstanding, but I still maintain that they've got plenty of stopping power for the type of bike it is. 85 horsepower. So I had a little look online and saw some good reviews for the EBC Double H pads. I thought I'd give them a try. Trying to think how much they all cost me. I think a full set of pads for the front and the rear was about 60-65 quid. Initially when I put them in, I was thoroughly underwhelmed, but the first thing I would say is they have taken quite some time to bed in, and since they have started to bed in, I've really liked them, and I much prefer them to the original spec pads that were in here. If you're brand new to riding, then I would say stick with the original pads. What these EBC Double H ones have done have really improved the initial bite. So when you first grab on, they really do bite, and you feel like the brakes are starting to work straight away. So for me, I think they give a much better feel to the brakes. I won't go as far as to say that they're grabby, because they're not that bad, but they're just, that initial bite's so much sharper. Yeah, with the original pads, first bit of squeezing in, you wonder whether or not you've actually applied the brakes, and then they started to come on and had good stopping power. These, as soon as you squeeze, you can feel them, feel the braking force on there, but as I said, they're not snatchy. One of my biggest complaints previously was with the rear brake. and I found it really easy to kick the ABS in on the rear and start locking the rear, and I'm sure that was to do with lack of feel, because again you'd kind of apply it and it wouldn't feel like there was any real bite, so you'd apply a bit more pressure, and then, as you know, with the rear brake, too much pressure and it grabs hold of it, and then the ABS is coming in. As soon as I changed over the pads, I haven't felt that at all with the rear. I haven't, locked up and got the ABS to kick in with normal riding at all. In fact, the feel of the rear brake is what I'm most pleased about. It's really nice now. You touch it, you can feel it grab on the back, and I think because of that, I'm being far better with my foot pressure on the lever, and so therefore that's why I'm not getting to the stage of the ABS kicking in and braking too harshly. I mean, we'll use the rear brake just here. Lovely. It's got such feel to it now. Really great for town riding and slow manoeuvring. Absolutely fantastic. So I can feel actually that I think the fronts have still got a bit of bedding in to do. I just don't think they're quite at their best yet. The rear feels absolutely beautiful. I think the front just needs a little bit more. So yeah, it has quite surprised me just how much bedding in these pads have needed. So what about the fronts? Well, I've talked about that initial bite, which is brilliant, and they have got really good stopping power, and it's very, very progressive. Right from the start, you feel it come in, and it's just a linear progression. It's still not into the realms of 1 or 2 finger braking. If you want to get some serious retardation, you got to use your full hand. For general riding like this, 2 finger braking is fine, and you get some nice deceleration with it. What will be interesting to see is how much these pads decide to start eating the rotors, because the braking certainly does feel more aggressive than the last pads. It's never going to match a radial 4-piston setup. So all in all, I'm really impressed with these EBC Double H pads. Really good change to the original spec pads. Good confident braking with them. Has radically changed the feel of the rear brake in a positive way. And at 60 odd quid for a whole set, I think they're well worth it. So big thumbs up from me. Highly recommend them.